really good at this.
Shout out to Scott, who is also a part of their duo. And again, Scott is incredible. Love to Scott because you guys are magical together. And I really encourage you guys to check out the project because if you guys were looking for that Telltale Heart Dawn, because everybody was like, this sounds like similar to the Telltale Heart era. You're right because that was a lot of during the time that I was in that space. I was trying to figure out who I was
Hmm.
as a solo artist. And again, Telltale Heart was more of the R&B side, and the stuff that I did with Intyce to me, I felt like was R&B pop, and it was cultivating, and it was new,
Yeah.
it was crossover material. And if you listen to records like Tightness, Alice Walker, R&B influence in the vocal presence. So a lot of counter melody, a lot of which was my signature then and still now. So you kind of see a kind of mesh of the two, and I just really
Absolutely.
love the record. Really love the records. And I think the whole idea when we were recording, which I got when I listened back to the EP, was it's a dream. It feels like you're in this kind of you go down a rabbit hole again. Like
Hmm.
it's so Alice in Wonderland. This vibe of like the records sound like they're a part of this whimsical idea that you're in a different world. And I really and I love how short they are. Like for me, someone like maybe
Yeah.
the interlude that's like candy for me. So I actually loved how each record kind of is just like it bleeds into the next, and it's just moments because I feel like during that time, especially because we couldn't go back and re-record, but I actually thought that was brilliant because
Hmm.
it gives you a genuine presentation of how each record needs the other record. I love it.
Hmm.
I love it.
Hmm. And you're like an artist that could just go there like that. Like I feel like you are just like an explosion of fucking creativity. So we're able
I
to
also
just
think you're
really
really
explore so many different textures of sound. And I think of you dancing and all the videos and
we're gonna
just
make
the
that. We're
excitement
gonna
that you
figure
have
this
every
out.
time
We're gonna
that we
figure
do
a
come in. We're like,
quarantine
hey,
out.
we got this dope ass beat. I'm like, I know that you're gonna fucking fuck with us heavy. So it was exciting and fun to literally take the interviews, and I didn't even know what I was gonna do when I created SciFlow. It's like I really just wanted to get back to really creating with you because I felt like me and Scott, opened a whole new chapter of who we were as producers and songwriters when we were with you. Again, I related to the Brandy to Rodney Jerkins, the Aaliyah to Timberland. Like I feel like we opened a new lane for us to explore that creativity. So I just think overall that was the full inspiration to get back to you to do that again. I'm like, okay, let's get her back in the goddamn studio. You just happened to call that time,
You know
and
how
it
I
was
am.
just like,
I'm always spur of the moment.
whoa.
Hey, you bet you need me, I'm coming.
Oh yeah,
Always
and
by
like the
myself.
most like for any songwriter and producer out there, like she is the fastest artist ever in the studio. Like super fast. She sings this stuff so quickly that I had to write 7, 8 songs in one day with her because
We
they were
did do
going
seven.
by so fast.
We did that song. It's true. It's because I love it, Tice. It's because I love it, and also too, I was groomed I was groomed with a label with Puff in that time where you couldn't make mistakes. Like there was,
Yeah,
when you're a
yeah.
part of a TV show and every time you move, you are cut. If you mess up, you're gone. So I can't speak for the other girls, but I know for me, it became a thing where it had to be like I don't do comping. Like
Hmm.
artists comp their vocals and they'll sing the records one way and then just piece them together.
Hmm.
If the entire clip is not done well, doing it over
Yeah, I
again.
never ever experienced somebody record the way that you record the
Yeah,
record. Like she's
I don't
in
do that
there and she's
comping.
like
No,
singing that shit and building it and like
no retake.
put
Yeah,
it
or not. I'm gonna take the and then
uh.
latch the and then put the ad lib at the end. No,
Right,
it's got
right.
to because it's a mood. It's a mood, and no disrespect to the people that do. It's just we didn't get that. We didn't have that ability to do that. It had to, and that's one thing I do appreciate about the journey that I had in the industry
Hmm.
and being on how I came up. I didn't realize it was even the different thing. I only knew it to be my norm. And then I realized later, that there was a such thing as a compliment. I was like, damn, it's been this easy this whole I could have been complimented this whole but
But that
it
kind of
also helped me.
reminds me of other artists that are amazing like that are building from very scratch surface things and like putting their projects together. Prince, all of those people had so many textures that, maybe later on in life there's an easier way to do those things. But I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm
that's
good
why I
on it.
think
I
you
don't
have
even know
like
how
a
to do it
nostalgia
either.
to it.
Yeah, no, I just want, but I do want to make sure that when you work with the writer, somebody like you, that when the story is given, you portray it the way it should be portrayed. And what I loved about
Yeah,
what we did was, if you really listen to the records, make sure you guys, for real, go buy these records. Support, for real. This ain't even about me. Support Scott, support Intyce, because they're doing some really incredible things.
thank
Um,
you.
what I thought was really dope is, if you listen to the records, the melodies that are chosen, the choices are really fun, especially on the verses. There are some uncomfortable talking moments, that flailing, like falling of vocals, that we're choosing to play with the idea of things. And I really love that. Like Food for Thought is a really, really interesting one. Fire is another one that's really, really cool, that I thought
Mm-hmm.
was interesting, because the choice and the way it plays. Tightness is another one too, because again, if you listen to the verses and how they're being approached, it's really, really funky, and I really, really love it. And you almost miss that, because we've become so traditional. Everyone's been asking for R&B to be one thing, and we've
Mm-hmm.
missed that soul so much, that now everyone has a formula that's similar, in the sense that the approach is so
Mm-hmm.
uniformed and so traditional. And I never really cared for that. I love when we color outside the lines, and I always
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
appreciated pop culture because you could. But it's
Mm-hmm.
always interesting when you're black, they don't let you
Mm-hmm.
color outside the lines. I
Mm-hmm.
say fuck letting you, but I'm just saying Janet figured out a way to approach her records and be appreciated as a pop artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was interesting that we had so many Britneys and Christinas and Jessica Simpsons and Madonnas,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we couldn't
yeah.
we couldn't expand that range for Black culture. And
Right.
I feel like what you guys are doing is, you're pushing the envelope between what R&B, like Aaliyah did. To me, Aaliyah pushed the
Yes,
envelope.
yeah,
She was
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
soul. She was definitely urban, but she could cross over. She crossed over because there was an element in the way in which her vocal floated. It was never. It was a formula that really worked.
Right.
I was really appreciative of being able to understand that and love her. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And I think that's a blessing, when you can find Black women and Black
Mm-hmm.
males who are in the pop spectrum, who bring their R&B to the table, but they're able to also cultivate pop culture. Are never appreciated for.
Yeah, and I grew up like the same like you. I feel like you're so much like a sister to me. Like it's like literally my family feels exactly how you talk. Like I grew up with a family that did have a lot of that soul, but I did have a mom and dad that was like, yeah, you could listen to Madonna or Bjork or, somebody that was just off to the left. You know what I mean? So I think me and Scott appreciated adding different textures to our
Yeah.
sound and just other producers that we grew up on. I mean, Timberland obviously is one of my favorites, Aaliyah my favorite, but Bloodshine and Avant. There's so many other different people that I love that I'm like, yeah, they were amazing.
And
Dallas
producers too.
Austin,
Yeah, exactly. Dallas Austin,
Jimmy Jam and Terry
Brian
Lewis.
Leslie is another one that created, to
Yeah.
me. Me and You was a beautiful, like a dope record that to me was a crossover. That was a vibe. And
Hmm.
to me, if any woman would have sung it, whether black or white, that record still would have moved the way it did. And that's because the sound was so powerful. And I think
Right.
we sometimes tend to block Black women and men, and when they do that type of thing, because we immediately peg it as R&B, or if it's not in that station, we're in trouble. But I
Hmm.
really love this project, because and I love you guys as producers, because you don't really care where the direction goes, you just want
Nah.
the story to be told. And